posting up pictures, trying to look like you winning. I'm writing rhymes in the kitchen, soaking in moments we live in, yeah. You got the nerve to be on me, faking your life for the IG. If you got my number, don't add me, cause baby, I'm on hiatus.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in today to Grown Dating Talk. I'm your host, Alona V. And today, we have a special guest in store for you. We have the owner and founder of Just Be Better Fitness, Rick Jenkins, okay? And Rick, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure to have you on panel. So, what do you do with Just Be Better Fitness? What's going on there?
Unlike other fitness businesses or fitness programs, we do focus on making sure that the body is fit, but I have more of a wellness approach whereby you have to develop your body and put it in the best position possible to be at its best. Also the mind, also the spirit or the soul, or however it is that you translate what is your internal moral compass. And we want to make sure that all of those things are operating at their efficiency, so that every opportunity, every day that you wake up, you have a chance to just be better. And so as a certified trainer, as a certified life coach, there are many options that people can choose in order to focus on their goals, not just pushing their bodies to their physical capacity, but what are some other aspects that you can grow or in which you can grow. And so Just Be Better Fitness is providing that opportunity for people.
I like that, especially because now at the beginning of the year, a lot of people like to focus on their health and wellness, People do, because I see a lot of people put up memes and things on social media and their Facebook posts, new year, new me, need to lose this many pounds and stuff like that. So, and especially guys around this time too. Women too want to get their bodies ready for the upcoming summer. And men want to get their bodies ready for women for the upcoming summer, because dating is important and everybody wants to look good,
So I like a few types of people. I like the summertime ready bodies. I like the revenge bodies. I like, initially, let me be very specific. Initially, I like those people. But the Just Be Better approach is once you get through that energy, now you're talking about making some permanent changes. And so getting through that new year, new me, summertime, revenge body energy affords us at Just Be Better the opportunity to start to help all of our clients change their perspective and focus on that self-love. Because you can build your body to damn near perfection. If you don't love yourself, then none of that matters. And so after you get your revenge body, then what? After summer is over, then what? After the new year, new me, then what? And this provides the opportunity to really focus on like permanent change, both mental, physical, and emotional, putting it all together so that when you're done with your journey, well, nobody's ever done with their journey, but when you get through that initial part of your journey, now your focus is, I'm not doing this for anybody else but me. And so now your love is turned inward, and you're like, I'm doing this for me. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I don't have to live up to anybody's standards. My opportunity to just be better is about me and my opportunity to just be better.
I like that. And I think, folks, that you should definitely look up Just Be Better Fitness on Instagram and check out Coach Rick, because I'm telling you, he is a great trainer. He used to train me at one point too. So, and he made my revenge body good. So,
but we're not getting revenge anymore. Absolutely right.
Exactly. We're not getting revenge anymore, because we've learned that through building up bodies and taking care of our internal and external health and wellness, we've learned that it's okay to outgrow people. When you get your revenge body, what is the next step? Sometimes the next step is that it's okay to outgrow people. Part of that self-love, which brings us to the topic that we're going to be covering on show today, which is, of course, it's okay to outgrow people. And we're going to talk about self-love and how that plays a major part. So a lot of times there are times where people go to the gym, women especially, because they're not feeling at their best vanity-wise. They feel like their man is interested in something else. He's not giving them the attention that they want. Or, let's face it, the relationship is dead. There's so much toxicity going on that they go to get the revenge body in order to prepare them for exiting out of toxicity. And we need to talk about what that looks like sometimes, because self-love is going to the gym and working on your body for you. Even though you're getting that revenge body together, ladies and gentlemen, you need to be doing that for you. Don't do that to keep a partner, because I just think that that's not the right reason to work out. Do you find that there are a lot of people who come in with that issue?
They do. And I actually find that a lot more men tend to live in their insecurity than women.
Okay.
But it's just directed at women, because women are on the forefront, because unfortunately we still live in a world where women are objectified, and so they already have their insecurities, and now they're made to feel insecure. But men actually have a lot more insecurities because they have a lot more to prove. The myth is, well, if I get muscles, then women are going to be all over me. But the reality is, you get more muscles, and the people who pay more attention to you are other guys.
I find that to be true.
Right. And so the understanding is, you don't have to build yourself physically to impress anybody. And that's a hard truth to swallow. You know, we unfortunately are just inundated with this like social media presence where people think reality is in a 2x2 window that lasts for 60 seconds. And these people, these Instagram models and fitness people, they look fantastic, but that's the result that you see. And more often than not, that's a result of either that being their job to look that way, or some surgery. And let's call it what it is. But you never see the journey. Mm-hmm. You never see the downs, the hardships, the 5 a.m.s, the aches, the pains, the Epsom salt baths. You don't see the
next day.
Not right. You're right. You don't see the groans getting out of the bed the next day, the cramps, none of those things. And so there is a glamour to all fitness journeys, but all glamour comes with a price. And a lot of guys, they're like, if I go in and I pick things up and I put things down, I'll look okay. And it's never that easy. Women just work harder. They work harder because unfortunately they got a little bit more to prove. But as it bears on this conversation, as it is that women are still objectified, they may come in with an extremely high level of confidence and self-love, but the human condition being what it is, people coming at you and just kind of, talking to you from the neck down, as opposed to valuing you as a whole person, it wears you down. It like, we each of us can only be strong for so long.
It does, and it gets annoying. I've heard a lot of men say, like, for instance, this outfit that I have on this evening, which is very lovely, by the way, ladies, very, very lovely. I've had issues where, like, if I'm talking to a guy, his eyes are in other parts of the body as opposed to in my face. And, women will say, well, that's offensive. That is offensive, which is true, But some men will say, well, it's out. So I'm looking at your skin like I'm looking at your eyes because it's out. And you have a body that looks good. So what's the problem,
And so they're not wrong. But where they become wrong is when they dwell. Like it's like when you see something that is pleasing to the eye, take a look. But we're right when you just like ogling, it's like, and so when I see that in the gym, because I'm surrounded by women who are in leggings and so for me, I look at it like a surgeon. All I see is like deltoids and pectorals and it's like having x-ray vision. But when the guys go, yo, did you see so-and-so? And I'm like, guys, act like you've been around women before.
Yes, they act like they've been in the locker room in junior high school and stuff.
Right.
Gym are not your nudie bags. Come on.
Right. And I tell them, if you really, really are attracted to her, go up to her and start a conversation. Yes. And most important, talk to her from the neck up. But that's not even the secret. If you're talking to her and you demonstrate that you're a lot more confident in yourself than you are in your ability to, I guess, make a connection, she will be more attracted to you because she will be attracted to the fact that you like yourself.
Yes, I definitely agree with that, fellas. Women, we love a confident man. When you are confident in yourself, then we love you. We love you. We might want to fall in love with you. You're attractive. Even if a man is not attractive aesthetically, if he has an attractive character, a woman cares about that. See, for men, women have to be attractive. For men, attraction, I think, at times is about vanity. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Men want women to have a good character too, but they also want a woman who looks beautiful on the exterior.
Correct.
They know that at some point, fellas know women that at some point, we're going to get old. We're going to get wrinkly. But he wants to enjoy your vanity for as long as he possibly can. Because at the end of the day, men, it looks good to other men when his woman looks good on his arm. Men don't mind other women staring at his woman. A confident man takes that as like a compliment.
Correct.
I have an attractive woman and all these other people acknowledge that. Cool. Women get offended with that. You want him to look good for you, but now when you go out, this person's staring at him, this person's staring at him, and then they're wondering, some women get self-conscious and start to wonder who he is behind her back. Because let's face it too, and talk about the flip side of it, that when working out and being at your best and getting your revenge body or your just be better body and stuff, you're going to attract all types of attention when you start to look good. And some people
Correct.
take that out of hand. And I definitely want to talk about that, because there are a lot of times where women and men get out of hand with that, and then their partner has to decide, when is it okay to walk away? When is enough in that instance,
Well, at that point, or
once it gets to that point, you're talking about
what
you've invested in that relationship in that time. And you're talking about time. But I talk to men specifically. We each of us have to understand that when you get to the point where it's just existing, and I agree with you. Men, we do want to enjoy a woman's vanity, but a confident man. And I guess I got to find a way to coin this phrase. A confident man wants to enjoy her vanity, but fall in love with her humanity.
Walk away.
And I really need to find a way to coin that phrase, because you hit it right on the head. At some point, we're going to get old, and the vanity is going to fade, but you still want to be friends with that person who you're in the room with, and that's the humanity. And so if it gets to that point where there's no arena for that to happen, it's like, fellas, walk away. It's not even about like who feelings are going to be hurt, because of course feelings are going to be hurt because we're human. But love yourself enough to say, you know what, at this point, if it's just physical, it's just physical, and I'm not getting anything else out of this. It's time to walk away. And at that point, it's time to sit down and have an adult conversation, and then walk away. Love yourself enough to leave the situation if it's not growing you, if it's not growing your partner.
I agree with you, and you made a really important point. When men and women, when you start to notice, and you have to be emotionally mature to identify this, because some people confuse lust for love. And lust and love are two totally different things. When you start to recognize that your connection with your partner is more about a sexual connection, so to say, and a physical aesthetic, and there's really you're not attracted to that person's character, their inner character, their sense of being a humanitarian. When you're not attracted to that, that's when you really need to sit down and, like Rick said, have those conversations. It's time to recognize that you need to be invested in this person. It's not enough to be attracted to your partner or this prospective partner that you're eyeing. If attraction is all it is, then you need to let go. You need to exit that, because at some point, the attraction is going to die down. You're going to get bored with this person. And then you're going to start to notice other things about them that are unhealthy and displeasing.
That's right. And if it's strictly physical, I mean, can I speak like candidly? Sure. At some point, it's like, guys, if there's no real connection, except physical, you're just using her body to jerk off.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. And if you're just gonna do that, then you literally are objectifying this woman. And it's time to say, you know what? I have a little bit more respect for myself, a little bit more love for myself. And if it's just coming down to this, then I really need to say, you know what? I think you and I have to go, because at some point, like I said, the vanity will fade, but the humanity will remain. And you want to find somebody who's going to grow you as an individual. Okay, falling in love with somebody's soul is going to make them more physically attractive. Mm-hmm. It's going to keep you there. But if it's just about sex, then you're just using her body to jerk off, and that plays a part as to why we find a lot of women. In my experience, I don't know all women, but I know some, and so that plays a part into why they become embittered, or why they put that embittered energy in front, because it's like, well, if all he wants to do is fuck, then all if he's like that, then all men are like that.
Whole gender, yeah.
Right, the entire the sins of a few are pinned on an entire gender. Yeah. And unfortunately, men, we're not really contributing to like erasing that perception, where some of us are, but the majority is
not enough.
Right. There aren't enough men saying, you know what, no, I know she's beautiful, but you know, I can elevate myself to a point where it's beyond physical, because I understand at some point she's gonna get old, and so am I. Even though men do age very nicely, mm-hmm. I get it, but at some point, fellas, some of your parts are not gonna work.
There you go.
And that's just biology.
And you're gonna want her to stick in there with you when your parts don't work.
That's right.
So you have to be able to reciprocate the same for her, you know? Because one of the points that you spoke on with toxicity is the fact that when Rick said, I like what you said when you coined the phrase that you're just using her body to jerk off. And I think this happens a lot in dating. Men within a relationship or just dating women, and women will do this too. They'll use a man's body to jerk off themselves as well. Right. You know, it goes both ways, ladies. You know, when you're dealing with someone, but you're not really taking them seriously, or when a man is juggling, that is another indication that it is okay to exit the relationship. When you realize that this man or woman is using you in place of porn, okay? When they're using you in place of porn, it's time to exit the relationship. If all it is a sexual connection there, he's really not trying to get to know who you are, really not trying to grow with you. She's really not trying to grow you. She's not caring about who you are. She's just worried about what you can do for her. Then it's time to exit the relationship, because it serves no real purpose for the both of you. I mean, let's be frank. If you're watching a porno, a woman can get off with a pocket rocket. A man can get off with his hand. So why are you wasting your time in a dynamic with someone when you know that it's going to become toxic? You know you're going to want to introduce other people sooner or later, because you're not genuinely invested in this person.
Right. I mean, you know, a king and a queen on a chessboard are both powerful, but the queen can make moves that the king cannot. Amen. And so when you understand that, then it's your job as the king to grow your queen, because she can make moves that you can't.
And I think that also goes into self-love and self-care too, because there are a lot of times where, let's be frank and talk about it, we've grown up. I know I've grown up in, so I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for the majority of the viewers out there. A lot of us have grown up in toxic, seeing toxic relationships between our parents, between aunts 100%. And uncles and neighbors and things. So you don't know what love looks like. We all watched the Cosby Show for the most part, and you knew what love looked like there with Claire and Heathcliff. So by the time Claire went off on Heathcliff or something, Heathcliff was not calling her out of her name. He wasn't going outside the household trying to find another woman to take up his time and interest. No, he was in there putting his hand over his face, but realizing that, hey, I did something here that turned my loving woman into something else. Claire was not throwing things at Heathcliff. She wasn't hitting him. She wasn't degrading him and attacking his manhood. They weren't coming at each other from a point of ego. And I think the problem with a lot of people when they're dating and in relationships nowadays is they do not let go of their ego. They hold on to that ego so much that it becomes toxic. Men don't want to admit when they're wrong and be accountable sometimes. A woman can give him a rundown of the things that he did that was wrong. And sometimes a man will sit in his ego and he will not want to cop to it. And a woman will do the same thing. She'll sit in her ego or in her emotions and feelings and they don't really get to address the elephant in the room, and they're not recognizing. A lot of times these people do love each other, but there's some unhealthy dynamics because of their lack of self-love and that self-care. You know?
But men sit in their feelings, boy. And it is crazy. And for me, I don't think a man should ever be in his feelings. I think he should be in touch with his feelings and have the ability to communicate his feelings. And it's a little bit old school. And I don't care and I don't apologize. A man should not be in his feelings. He should not share the same emotional traits as his partner.
Yes.
I'm open to debate with anyone.
Rick is saying that you can have emotions. You're entitled to feel how you feel emotionally. You have to check how you roll that out, fellas. You have to really check how you roll it out. You know,
that's exactly
what I'm saying. Like if somebody asks you, hey, and men, don't limit yourself to happy, sad, or angry. Like this is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling anxious about stuff. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling this. Like learn to identify yourself because you're absolutely right. Coming up,
I need clarity. I don't know if I love this woman or if I just like her. I don't know if I'm feeling the emotions that I should be feeling to invest in this. Let's be honest, because a lot of times men, they know what it feels like to be attracted to a woman, and they know what it feels like to really like her, but
they don't know what it is to like be in love with her, to be in love with her character. And you're absolutely right. Like we didn't learn these things growing up. More often than not, we saw people together that were miserable. And they stood together because it was the right thing to do. But the right thing to do was to say, you know what, I'm not happy right now. And it's not going to get better, so I'm going to leave.
Yes. And leave in a healthy way. Have a conversation about that, you know?
Right.
And another thing I want to say, too, with regard to when it's time to leave and you have that conversation, and I want to say this specifically for men because I know men go through this a lot. And ladies, you're going to be like, oh, hell, Alana, how could you say that? You're always jumping on us. No, I like to keep it straight facts here. Women, a lot of times we speak with a bitter tongue and you emit negative energy with this man. And if you can't create a safe space for him to come to you and give you truths and reveal how he feels, and you're going to make it an unsafe space, you're going to make it a battlefield, then men in those instances, when you feel like you're not being heard and you have valid reason because she has a sharp tongue, because she's throwing things, because she has a toxic dynamic, it is okay to walk away from that. However, on the flip side, if you have a woman that's creating a safe space for you to come with your truths and come with your feelings, you should not take that as an opportunity to go into your ego and manipulate the way the conversation is going, because then at that point, you're making the dynamic unhealthy. You're not building her up in this relationship. You're breaking her down. And the woman that's trying to create a safe space for you, she's trying to build you up in the relationship. She's not trying to build you up for the next woman. She's trying to build you up for you guys together. And you want to be able to stay together. So when the dynamics get unhealthy, men, if she's sharp-tongued, negative energy, you need to decide it is time to walk away. I need to exit this situation, whether it be for a day, a week, or forever, depending on how it's going. You need to be able to decide, like, this is unhealthy. I do not want this in my life, and feel good in your decision on deciding to exit and walk away.
Right. And don't stay in and if the relationship is going good, like, you know, like create that arena on both sides. I agree.
Yes.
Just also bear in mind that while you're in a relationship, don't compromise your individuality on either side.
Thank you. Yes.
Because that absolutely contributes to a toxic environment, because once you lose your sense of self, you want to fight for it back. Yeah. And if you're not creating the opportunity for the individuality to exist and to thrive, then it's a setup for failure.
Which is true. You have to respect your partner's space for individuality. Your partner is not mandated to walk around and perform how you feel he should perform, ladies and gentlemen. You need to allow your partner to be themselves. I like the phrase that I like to sit back and let a man do what he wants to do so I can observe who he is. And I want him to do that in his natural element. Because if I sit back and allow you to do what you want to do, I'm going to see if you're a healthy person for me. I'm going to recognize and be able to identify if this is a relationship I should continue in or something I should exit from. And men need to do the same thing with women. It doesn't involve if your partner has to go through your phone without let's talk about that. That can be toxic too. Now there are some situations, I do want to outline some biases here, because there are some situations where guys will say, how dare she go on my phone, how dare she do this, and women will go, how dare he do that. Now let me speak about a situation, and definitely counter me at any point in this, Rick. There are instances in which, as a woman, I do understand a partner going through a phone. I'll say this instance. If you guys have had a good spiel in the relationship, but it's been on and off for a number of years, and you keep trying to get together and make it work, and then one party finds out that throughout this time, they've been being juggled. They were not being taken seriously, but now the partner comes back and says, hey, I want to take you seriously now. I really want to build something with you. And then maybe it's kind of not easy to just give that trust back out. So a man should willingly be able to say, hey, I have no problem with this with the phone. And a woman should be able to say, hey, I have no problem with this with the phone, like no issues with passwords, and create that healthy dynamic if that's how you're going to go about building trust back. Because let's be frank, if you come from a troubled place in the relationship and you try to work it out, that's going to be very rocky. But if you're sitting down there and you're going through your partner's phone and you're doing this without their permission because of your insecurities, that's a no-go. If your partner's never done anything to you, that's a no-go.
I mean, I say in either case, don't go through the phone. Whether they give you the phone or whether you find your way into the phone, and this is why I say that.
From it completely, yeah.
If you have to ask, then you already know the answer to your question.
That's time to
Don't go through the phone. If you have to wonder, then you already know what the conclusion is going to be. Don't go through the phone. If your intuition is telling you, I think something's going on because your behavior is indicating X, Y, or Z, don't go through the phone, because you're going to get the answers that you're looking for. And it really becomes that simple. And if you have to force your way into the phone, because if you got to force your way into the phone, you're going to find what. Because if you got to force your way into the phone, you're going to find what you're looking for.
And at the end of the day, too, if you start to identify that this person, your partner's behaviors are off, just exit. You can have a discussion with them to try to see what's going on. And sometimes women will say, well, and men will say, too, well, this person's very clever and calculated with how they explain themselves. So they'll be able to rationalize this away. But that's when discernment and intuition comes into play. When you are discerned and you get that download that, hey, something's still off. I hear what this person is saying to me, something's still off. You still have to go a step deeper, in my opinion. You need to be able to decide, is this my insecurities and past baggage that have nothing to do with this relationship? Or is this some dents and dings that have been caused by this relationship that give me every reason to feel this way? And then you have to really think to yourself, do you want to stay in a dynamic that's making you feel like that? Or do you want to exit that dynamic, exercise self-love and self-care, and decide to go find happiness elsewhere? Because clearly, if these are the toxic things that are going on, you're not going to find happiness there.
Right, and it's okay to leave. You know what you know, and if you know what you know, then I mean, don't pick the battle. If you know what the conclusion is going to be, don't pick the battle, because you already know it's just going to be a knockdown, drag out fight. Do you really want to expend the energy? Do you want to claim that energy for yourself, where the potential to become embittered or hostile are present? Or do you want to say, you know what? And what you're talking about,
to be clear for everyone tuning in, you're not talking about 1 or 2 or 3 days worth of changed behavior. You're talking about a consistent minimum 30 to 40 days of behavior where you're observing and saying, well, you're
red flag, yellow flag.
Right. And all you're doing is checking. And so at the conclusion of that timeline, you're like, your behavior has changed so drastically that I don't need to go through the phone because I already know the answer to my intuition. Let's sit down and have a talk. And at the end of this talk, it's going to be, and it's true. We don't just turn love off, but it's, I love you, but I love myself more to avoid that toxicity and that bitterness. So this is done.
Yes.
And people nowadays need to have the emotional maturity and a higher level of self-love in order to get to that conversation, or say, you know what, I love myself and I love you and I think it's equal. And maybe I don't have all the answers. Maybe I'm still a bit unclear. So let's have an honest conversation, because if it's salvageable, then both of us need to divert energy into saving this. Because here's something very important. When it comes to situations where there's conflict, most people point the fingers at one another. But maturity is, instead of pointing the finger, you point to yourself and you say, you know what, let me take a step back and let me examine what my contribution to this conflict is.
Hold that thought, Rick. We will be right back after this commercial, and we're going to continue with this conversation about contributing as opposed to pointing the finger.
We, each of us, have the opportunity every day to grow upwards and outwards. We have the will to just be stronger, faster, fitter, happier in all aspects of our lives. We, each of us, chase the best version of ourselves, and we choose to just be better every day, every hour, every minute, every second. We must decide to impact ourselves, our surroundings, the people who we come in contact with, friends, strangers, and all things we can control. It comes from the one decision that will ignite our evolution. The decision to just be better.
Good. Thank you for tuning back in, guys. So, just to catch up for those viewers who are just tuning in late, we have owner and founder of Just Be Better Fitness, Rick Jenkins, on panel speaking today. And we're discussing, when is it okay to just let go and exit the relationship? And we're also discussing how important it is to have a sense of self-love, and self-care to be able to identify when it is vital and necessary to exit the relationship. So, thank you. So we can pick back up with what you were saying. So before we went to commercial, you were talking about how couples need to, women and men need to get better at, instead of pointing the finger, and going to the solution.
And instead of pointing the finger at your partner to say, hey, you're the problem, to be able to stop and really check yourself to say, what am I contributing to this conflict? And to really have that higher level of self-reflection, which also gives you an opportunity to step away
and demonstrate your emotional maturity too.
Right, like really think, and then you come back as adults and you say, you know what, before you say anything, I would like to say that this is my contribution to this conflict, and I want to correct myself. I want to apologize, and I want to ask you what are some things that you would suggest that I can do to fix this so that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And that's self-love.
That is self-love. And I want to comment on what you just said. It takes a big sense of emotional maturity. It takes a lot of emotional maturity for a man and woman to say, I want to be accountable for my part in this. And what men and women, I think you guys need to understand, that when you take accountability for your part in a issue, in a problem, it can save the relationship in the long run, because you're building trust. You're not just creating safe space, but you're building trust. Now your partner can trust your words. They can trust your actions. They can trust your intentions. And for women and men alike, it is very important for you to be able to trust your intentions, because men have had too many experiences out here of women trying to take advantage of them, trying to hustle them in the negative manner, trying to control them, trying to mother them. That's not okay. That's going to drive him away. That's going to make him want to exit the relationship, ladies. But men, when you have a woman who is trying to create a safe space, she's being accountable for what the part she played in it. She genuinely is open and humble and is willing to forgive you. You know, let's look at Jay-Z and Beyonce with the infidelity. They worked through that. She was willing to be humble and open to forgive him, but he had to give her the truth. If you're not going to offer up the truth and be accountable, then no forgiveness can occur. We can't proceed, you know?
Right. And yeah, she justifiably, after he faced first of all, faced the truth himself.
Yes.
And then second, gave her the truth, justifiably, she gave him shit for it.
Yes.
And that's what it is, because you gotta, fellas, you gotta, if she's willing to give you a chance, then you gotta climb the mountain again.
Yes, because you have to gain back her trust now. Absolutely. She doesn't just give it to you on a platter. You have to gain that back. You have to work for it.
But it's the same on the other side.
Too, like, a lot of times women say, I'm sorry, and that's it. No, you have to prove and show you're sorry.
Right. And guys, it's like, when she's creating and it's a very simple thing. Mm-hmm. When she's creating a safe space for you to be you, let her.
Yes. A lot of times, they see that as a setup. They don't know how to take that, because I think a lot of men have been in situations with women where it's like, the safe space is not so necessarily created, because think about it. There are a lot of women out there that say, give me the truth, give me the truth, give me the truth. And he gives her the truth. And what does she do? She throws it in his face. She goes and talks about him to her friends and his family. And you basically clown this man and devalue him. So then you make him bitter and you make him ashamed, and you affect his self-esteem and pride when he's giving you what you asked him for, the truth. And
so he's going to go do the things that he learned growing up that make a man feel like a man.
Yes. He's going to go and replace her with other women and stuff.
Which are the same things that women say, oh, men, you all do the same things. Well, if you put me in a position to do these things, then I'm going to do, because this is what I learned growing up. This is what I learned from the men who were around me. They told me, son, nephew, be a man, but they never explained what that actually means.
And they didn't walk the talk of a man. They didn't walk the talk. They didn't model it.
They didn't. The only man that they saw were probably like a Bill Cosby, like a Cliff Huxtable. And look how that one's turned out.
I'm joking, but that was the only man they saw at that time, Bill Cosby. And then you had Fred.
Right.
So you had like different things and stuff, but they didn't have a lot of positive black male role models back in the day, men of color on TV, to show men of color how to be men of honor. And that's the thing. I think more men need to be ascending to the whole being a man of honor. You want woman to be a high value woman. You want her to act and conduct herself this way. Well, give her a reason to conduct herself that way with you. Women need to always be composed and in their best character. But you also, as a man, need to carry yourself in your best character so she can trust you to lead the relationship somewhere. If you know that you're the type of guy who's used to bouncing to other women and juggling, or you're very argumentative or in your ego, and you decide you want to settle down and be with the woman, you need to be able to work on those unhealthy parts of you, because that's toxic. In order to be in a monogamous relationship, you must be able to get over having a flavor of the month, flavor of the day, flavor of the week, because when you're in a monogamous relationship, she's your flavor of the month. She's your flavor of the day. She's your flavor of the week. You don't get to go out and have other flavors,
Right.
And women too. When you get into something with your boyfriend or the guy you're dating, you don't have the right to then go out and have yourself some other flavors. That's your person. You sit there and figure it out with your person. Because what happens is, when people get into these arguments and you go off into like third parties and involve other people, it gets mucky and it gets sticky. Not only does it break trust, but now you're involving outsiders and you're making other people bitter and you're hurting other people's feelings only for you to turn around and come back to this dysfunctional, toxic dynamic between the original two,
and now
people entangled in this nonsense.
Now you're bringing external toxicity into an already hostile environment, and it's just a setup for failure.
And the fact that there's no love of self in there, they're not able to recognize that. So men and women do not take an accountability because it's so much of a, you did this, you did that, you did this, you did that. Stop worrying about what he did and figure out what you did to contribute to that. And he needs to stop worrying about what you did in that moment and be concerned with what he did in that moment. So you guys can come together and talk about and be accountable and talk about how you both contributed to building the elephant in the room. Because let's be frank, the elephant doesn't fit through the door. The elephant didn't walk into the damn room. The elephant was built in the room. And too often people try to ignore the elephant in the room. Keep ignoring it, and that elephant is going to squeeze your ass and
it's just going to expand until it squeezes you out. That's right.
Yes. And let's talk about this too when it comes to unhealthy dynamics, because women will say, I've heard a lot of women say this man, I'm going to use some vulgar language here, he's not shit because he's not a provider. He doesn't even make enough money to do this. And there are women who will tear men down in these arguments or discussions and talk about how he's less than a man, he can't provide, he can't profess, he can't lead. First off, if he can't do all of this shit, why are you with him? What is that? If he can't do all these things, what does that say about you as a woman that you're sitting in there in that? Fellas, same thing. If she keep a dirty house, she don't clean, she don't do this, she don't do. So what does that say about you? Because you're sitting up in there with this person who's not doing these things. So clearly there must be some toxic, effed up aspects of you that keep you there with her. So again, you need to be accountable and look at these dynamics. Would the place be a little cleaner if you helped out some fellas? And ladies, would he be a little bit more chippery to help you out if you would stop coming down his back and breathing down his neck and doing these and incorporating these toxic dynamics that are going to make him want to walk out the door? Because I find that to be offensive sometimes when I hear women tear down men about what he's not doing in this aspect and what he's not doing in that aspect. He doesn't take me out and do this and he doesn't do that. Okay, but if there's a hardship, did he help you out financially in the ways that he could? If that fridge was empty, did he put some food in there? When you were sick, did he sit there and help care for you some? Like, did he call to know about your day? I think today they're getting it confused.
At that point, it becomes you've got to prioritize your expectations.
Yes.
You know, he can't. I mean, he can either go above or beyond, or sometimes above and beyond. Mm-hmm. But at some point, you got to pick a struggle.
Yes, because nobody's perfect. And I think too many women are up here putting a lot of pressures on men nowadays. And this is not bashing women. We're just getting to the facts. Because I do not feel, and women, you're free to correct me if I'm wrong, put your inputs into the comments, call it out. You know, I do not feel that men step to the table and put as much pressures on women as women put on men. I feel that my gender puts way more pressures on the male gender than the male gender puts on the female gender in essence.
I agree.
Because women are judge men for every damn thing. But yet men, they care that you look good. Half of them don't even care if you can cook or not. Because let's be honest, we're like, I need to cook. No, there are a lot of men out there that can cook for themselves. Or they got food.
I can only speak from my experience. Mm-hmm. I don't even care about the cooking, but I really like to enjoy a meal.
Yes.
With some and because that makes me very happy to be able to like sit with someone and I like sit with my person.
Yes.
And enjoy the meal. When she enjoys that meal, when she's like, this food is good and we have good laughs and like that's very nice. Like, I mean, I make it seem like it's like a pain in the ass, but I actually like when like I'm eating something and she do it all the time. I'll get to like, it's always that bite.
Yeah.
She's like, let me see that. Why is this food bringing you so much happiness?
Yes.
And she'll take the bite that I wanted, and I find it a little bit cute.
Oh, I like
that. And that's part of it. That's part that safe space. Number one is created by a good partner. Mm-hmm. Number two, it's created by good communication. Number three, it's created by when those times you're rough. Say, you know what am I contributing to this conflict?
Yes.
And number four, it all comes down to self-love and make sure that you're preserving each other's individuality.
I love that.
And if you can keep those components in place, then it'll be okay. But if not, love yourself enough to walk away.
Yes, you have to know when it's time to walk away. And in addition, I want to add to what you just said because I want to take it back to the fitness aspect too. Because I'm only speaking, I can speak from my dating experiences, but I'm sure there are a lot of other women out there who can connect with this. So I'm really going to get on the fellas right now. Like, I'm going to put my foot way up in that ass right now. So lean in close to the screen, fellas, okay? We have men who are on their fitness journey, right? And so they want to take in X amount of macros, whatever, calories and stuff. And brothers will sit there and say, you know, and I'm not just saying black men, I'm talking about men in general when I say brothers, okay? Men, there are a lot of men out there who a woman will cook good. And they know she cooks good. But you sit there and you won't eat her cooking because you're like, oh no, I want to eat this because this is in line with my macros. I think that becomes offensive to some women. I know me personally, I cook great. And I was dating a guy one time and he loved the way I cook as well. However, it just didn't seem to line up with his macros. He would rather eat like Domino's and stuff like that. And that kind of like, as a woman, that bothered me. Because it's like, here it is. I'm trying to prepare a meal for us. I'm trying to feed you. I'm trying to contribute to your overall well-being. But you want to sit here and eat this junk food. Now, you can let him be his own individual self. But when does it get too much when it comes to the fitness thing? You can eat healthy. And if she can cook healthy, sit your behind down and eat a meal. She's trying to create a moment with you, fellas. And you are robbing that woman of creating that moment with you when you decide, well, I'm just going to go over here and do this quick fix real quick and eat this. If she can't cook, then I understand that by all means. Shit, get your Domino's. Or help her season the food up. Cook with her, you know. But if you have a woman that can cook and you're over here wanting to eat this junk food, that can make a woman want to leave too. It'll make her exit left, you know. It's not saying that's the only toxic factor. But
I mean, the only counsel I could give to that moment is just focus on the science. Like if you eat clean, you're gonna get your goals. If you eat dirty, you're not gonna get your goals. So if it were me, I wouldn't even put energy to like being upset about it. You want to eat Domino's? Go ahead and eat Domino's. When your blood pressure shoots up, when your gut doesn't go away, when your body looks messy, then you'll come back to me. And you'll eat clean, you'll eat healthy. In the meantime, I'm going to eat this healthy food. Mm-hmm. And when you're looking at me like, wow, how come she looks better than me? Then you'll come back to me, you'll come back to the table and you eat what you're supposed to, or you won't.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But don't baby them.
Yeah, no, definitely don't baby them, ladies. But I also think that, fellas, some of you guys need to get it together. I think a lot of times when that comes into play, I don't know if it's so much a fitness thing for them or if it's an unhealthy dynamic that they picked up in childhood. Thing. Like, it's ego, yeah, because a lot of people grew up in homes where they didn't sit down at the dinner table together. Everybody took their plate and dispersed in the household. So now if you get in a relationship with a partner who wants to sit down and eat with you, it doesn't matter whether you guys are sitting picnic style on the bed, if you're eating at the coffee table, or if you gather for dinner together at the table. If you're with a partner who wants to do togetherness over a meal, I think that men should bend and accommodate that if you want to be in a relationship with that woman. All of that, take your food and disperse, that can be a yellow flag to women sometimes. It'll make them feel alone in a relationship. 100%. It'll make them feel disconnected. And then he's like, well, she doesn't have eyes for me. She doesn't seem to be too interested in me. She's going out with her girlfriends and not really worrying about me. Because her girlfriends want to sit down and have a meal together. They want to talk about the day. You don't want to do that. So I think people need to revisit that and think about that in order to avoid creating distance within the relationship. And it also goes back to self-love too. Because if you're eating a bunch of junk food, then I don't know if you love yourself that much as you say you do. If you're eating junk food every day, but yet your goal is to have a really nice body that looks a certain way, you know? Because what you're intaking is going against your goals. And I think that also sends a bigger message to women. That yellow flag becomes a red flag because women look at it like, well, if this is what his goal is and he's countering the goal, what does he look like with work and career? What does he look like with finances? What does he look like with this? Men will go, oh, you're jumping the gun and you're far reaching. But no, we're really not, because it's a discernment. Women, we sit back, Sit back and observe. Let him be who he wants to be so you can see who he is. Because I find that when there are men and women out there who say, this is my goal, but you're being counterproductive to that goal, it usually plays out within the relationship and within their personal life that they're being counterproductive in other things too. Or do you think that's far reaching?
I think it's circumstantial and situational.
Okay.
It's contingent upon the two individuals.
Okay.
That's all I would say on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can see that. I definitely can see that. Another component with self-love too is having a sense of self and being able to identify when you're unhappy in the relationship, but not because of your partner. Because another component with self-love is, and also people deciding to leave relationships, a lot of times there's stress that is incurred from work, stress that's incurred from the kids, stress that's incurred from outside sources. And then the partners bring that into the relationship, and next thing you know, the relationship is a battlefield because they're taking that stress out on the person closest to them. And that shouldn't be, because it's supposed to be me and you against the problem, not me versus you. You know, the problem shouldn't be in between us. The problem should be in front of us with us both facing it, ready to tackle it together. What do you have to say about that one?
I think it's very important not to, your relationship can't be a constant fight. It can't, like I don't even, when I first learned the term "love is a battlefield," I was like, what are they talking about? But I was young when I heard that
so much. I was like, I hate that phrase.
But right, because love is not a battlefield. It's not a fight. It's not a struggle. It's not okay. It is a struggle. It's a good struggle in the context that if you love something, you got to fight for it.
Yeah, but those challenges are supposed to make you stronger and bring you closer together.
You have to fight for it because it's a good fight.
Yes.
Okay, you can't become complacent in love. You've got to be present. You got to do the things that build love. But it's not a trap. It's not like, man, you fall in love. Yo, don't do that because you know what's going to happen. No, I know what's going to happen when I fall in love. I'm going to be happy.
Yes.
I'm going to be happy when I fall in love, when I meet somebody who's going to have my best interests at heart and who's going to build me up as a man. I'm going to be, yes, I every morning I text my partner. She texts me good morning and she says, I love you. And I text her and I tell her, I love you more every day.
Yes.
And that's not a lie. What it doesn't matter what happened the day before. When I wake up, I say, you know what? I don't know if, and this is like the small question, like a small statement, big statement. I don't know if I could live with you. And people are like, what? Because the big statement is, but I do know that I can't live without you.
I like that. That's
so I
want to say that again really quickly for the viewers that are watching. What Rick said is, I don't know if I could live with you, but I do know that I can't live without you. And that's that point where sometimes people can get to a point of uncertainty in the relationship. That's normal and that is okay, you know?
Right, and that's not every day. That's when you kind of get to those moments. But when you come to that second realization, that's where fighting for that love becomes a good fight. Yeah. But love's not a battlefield. Like you're not. We're not going to like zombie land to like find love. No, your partner. When push comes to shove, that your partner has your back. They're gonna hold you down. They're gonna make sure that you're not out here looking crazy in the street.
Thank you.
And so it's not. I don't like that term at all.
I don't. And
it's not a battlefield. I'm not battling my partner. I'm going into battle
with my partner. Or I'm going into battle for my partner. But I'm not battling with my partner. I get there, you know. And there's something that you said that was really important, you know. It's knowing that if you want that love, you have to fight for that love sometimes. if love becomes a battlefield, that's when you need to start analyzing. That's when we need to take a step back and we need to start looking at, why did this love become a battlefield before you exit?
Right. Why did it become a struggle?
If it became a struggle because of unhealthy dynamics, like you were doing things that you shouldn't have been doing in the relationship and you're causing this struggle, then it's time to be accountable. Are these things that you're willing to fix within yourself so that love stops becoming a struggle? Or is this something that's going on with your partner that has nothing to do with you, and your partner is the toxic party, and thus that's creating the struggle? And then you have to decide, is your partner going to be accountable for these behaviors? Is your partner going to do something to change these behaviors so that love can stop becoming a struggle? Because let's face it, sometimes people have their fears and toxicities and baggage that they bring in, and that creates a struggle. But some of those things are resolvable so that love doesn't have to be a battlefield. And when you come from experiencing dysfunctional relationships modeled by others, you have to identify the factors that are causing the struggle in love so you can address them in a healthy manner. Case in point, because I find that too often this is the cancel culture nowadays. This is what they call it, cancel culture. Yes, people get into something and it's too easy for them to just ghost each other, cancel on each other. They're having communications and it gets uncomfortable. And let's face it, a lot of people do not like to have uncomfortable conversations. But a part of being an adult means that you have to face those uncomfortabilities head on. You have to be prepared to face them head on, because that's the only way that you're going to grow within that relationship, And having those uncomfortable conversations, I say 9 times out of 10, can strengthen your relationship. It strengthens the friendship. And it builds a stronger foundation to continue building upon.
I agree.
When people get into this cancel culture, I don't like what this person did, so I'm going to go this way. That's not mature. You're not emotionally mature. And if you're not emotionally mature, I'm going to say you don't deserve a monogamous relationship. You don't deserve any kind of relationship if you're not emotionally mature.
Right. And you just can't cancel stuff. You got to stay and figure it out.
Yeah.
Because life and everything that comes with life is about figuring it out.
And also, I think that men and women need to be able to discern when your partner is trying to build you up, when they're giving you feedback and criticism that is in a positive manner. Like this woman is calling you out on things. She's not insulting you. She's not putting you down. She's pointing out the yellow flags. And when a man is calling you out on things, he's pointing out your yellow flags. There's a difference between attacking someone and belittling them and being toxic towards them and building your partner up. And I think a lot of times in dating and in relationships, there are a lot of people that take this the wrong way. This woman is trying to bring to his attention some of these concerns that she sees, and he's taking it as an attack. When she's trying to create a safe space for you guys to figure this out together. When he's pointing out, hey, you get to places really late, and, you're going to get called in to work and they're going to write you up again. And she's sitting there looking at him like, oh, he doesn't see me in my highest light. He does see you in your highest light. He knows that you are beautiful, hardworking, ambitious, and driven. And he's pointing this out for you because he doesn't want anybody else to step in and present a challenge to you in all of your beauty, hard work, ambition, and drive. And vice versa with men.
And vice versa with men.
Hey, you are great at what you do. Do you ever think about marketing that and becoming, an entrepreneur? And a man goes, oh, what you trying to do that for? I don't care about doing that. Or they look at it like, well, is she trying to say that I'm not enough? Is she trying to say I don't make enough money? And that's not the case. She's trying to build you up because she sees even more potential in you than you might see in yourself. And she's trying to build you up so that you can achieve that potential. Don't walk away and leave that woman. I would want to stick there and build with that woman. She wants you to be at your best.
That's right.
Because when they exercise this cancel culture, what happens? They go to people who, and if the relationship was good with their partner and they cancel it, you're going to people who are less than your partner. And that sucks and that's stupid because you're going to go through some toxicity over there too. And it's going to be with a real toxic person. And the person you were with may not have been toxic to start out with. But because of that dysfunction, they got confused and they don't have clarity. And now they're sitting here exercising cancel culture, bouncing and doing what they want to do instead of building in this healthy love, that blessing that's right there before you.
Correct. Just because you want it to go away doesn't mean that it actually goes away. So my dad used to tell me, if you run from an obstacle, when you turn around, it's just going to be bigger when you turn around and face it. So you might as well face it right there. And no matter what the outcome is, if it's in your favor or not in your favor, you're still going to be better for it. And as a boy and as a teenager, as a young man, I never understood what he was talking about until I had to face obstacles. And when I understood what he was talking about, even now, it's like, you know, I'm like, and I just kind of, you know, let's just jump and head on. Things that I get it now. Like, I absolutely get it. You can't just cancel it. That's not even realistic. You can't just sweep it under the bed. You can't just put it in a box. Nope. But if you deal with it, if you have the ugly conversations, then you come out of the other side of it so much better as an individual and as a collective. But you got to face it. You can't just go, you know what? I'm done with this. Click. Because when you turn it back on, it's still going to be there.
Exactly.
It's still right there. Just because you say it's gone, that doesn't make it gone. And so deal with it. Be comfortable in your skin to sit and have the ugly conversations. Yeah. And when you have the ugly conversations, there's beauty that comes from it. Yeah. And it's about growing yourself, and for the third time, it's about, you know, just being better, and that's all I got.
And on that note, we're gonna bring this episode to a close because Rick just basically summed it up for all of you. You know, do not run from the uncomfortableness. Face it. If you identify that there are certain factors within your relationship that are not working out, it's not building the dynamic up, it's breaking the bond down, it's okay to decide and make a healthy decision to turn around and walk away and exit that. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve to be happy. But if you're going to be in a relationship and you're going to try to work it out, then you have to face the uncomfortable. It has to become a comfortable thing to face the uncomfortable. But on that note, thank you very much, Rick, for being on panel. And for our viewers, go on Instagram and check out Just Be Better Fitness. Sign up for this brother as a trainer and also as a life coach. So with all things bringing to a close now, I just want to thank you once again for being on panel. I want to thank our viewers for tuning in. Hey, guys. Be sure to go and check out our online merch store. That's right. We have a candy drip shop, and we have exclusive and envious pieces for both the ladies and the gents. Fellas, go cop those Big Dick Daddy boxes, the Big Dick Daddy hoodies, and the briefs. And for ladies, we have the mixing paint swimsuits for you guys. We have the Game Over leggings. We have the purple nurples. And we even have the cherry drip shirts and tanks. So go check it out. www.growndatingtalk.com.
For the rugged. Been a little too nice to y'all. Now I gotta up price for y'all. Snake eyes on dice for y'all. Shoulders on ice for y'all. Frozen. H6 all the hate. I won't get involved today. Got lost in the ballin' age. I'm flipping the bars. I'm flipping the. On record, off record. I still count wins when they doubt it. On record, off record. I let them take advantage. I was wildin'. On record, off record deals. Tell them talk to Colin for the quote. On record, off record. I still want the act, not the ghost. Running through it with the young influence. Adolescent presence. I'm succumbing to it. I've been giving yeses when I shouldn't do it. I complete ejected, but the moves elusive. And I'm barely moving, but I'm still gon' boost them. I can't work on winners when I know you're losing. So I work the winners and they throw the deuces. Guess I have to pivot, shooting the bazookas for the facts. I need racks, paper cash, buck a tax. That's a joke, tell them laugh. Uncle Sam, buck out the bag. Brody plot, we'll get a whack. Contract, give me the max. I got lab on my back. You ain't that, then it's raps. Whoa. For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, yeah. For the record.